It's a gift. It's a curse. It's the transfer portal. This is the Third Down Conversation. Let's talk about it. Before I begin, I am not against the transfer portal. I'm not against NIL. I just think it needs more regulation. It's a gift. It's a curse. It has pros and cons. And I think most people understand the pros. Players have the opportunity to level up, meaning go from a G5 program to a Power 4 program. They have the opportunity to put themselves in a winning situation. They have the opportunity to maximize their value. But there's also a downside to this whole thing. The grass isn't always greener. And if it is, the water bill is higher too. So let's dive into some of the pros and cons of the transfer portal. And I'm going to look at it from a college football landscape standpoint, as well as from a player standpoint. Now, from a player standpoint, the pros are obvious. Who wouldn't want to go from South Florida to Auburn? Who wouldn't want to leave a 5-7 team, let's say Auburn, and go to a team that's currently still in the playoffs, like an Ole Miss, and put themselves in a potentially better winning situation? Unfortunately, Auburn did have a starting cornerback leave them and go to Ole Miss. That hurt a little bit. Who wouldn't want to maximize their dollar amount? Like if one school is telling you, well, based on your production, we're going to give you $250,000, and another school is telling you, well, we'll give you $400,000. You're probably going to take the $400,000. And as a 19, 20-year-old, I ain't mad at you. Like that makes, like, it doesn't necessarily make sense. I won't say that, but I can understand why you want to, like, you know what? I'm finna go over there. I love Auburn. Love Auburn. But if I was playing football and Auburn told me they would give me $250,000, and Alabama told me they'd give me $400,000, I think real long and hard about what I'm gonna do. Now, I wouldn't go, but man, that would be a tough decision. Auburn had to up that money up a little bit or something. But that's not the point. The point is, I can understand that you want to maximize your value. I get that. Those are the pros for players. Those are really the things they're looking for. But what is the downside to all that? Especially if you find yourself entering the portal on an almost yearly basis. What are you sacrificing when you go in search of those things? You're sacrificing development. I get you want the bag, but the ultimate goal is the NFL. So you need to make sure that development stays the main thing. Here's an example, and this may be a little controversial, but I believe this. If you look at the school system, students have a different teacher every single year. Those teachers' jobs are difficult because they've got to learn each student. Newsflash, each student does not learn the same way. So the teacher has to figure out methods and approaches that best help that student learn. By the time the teacher figure that out, it usually happens second semester, probably around March. The year is pretty much over. And then that student is going to a new teacher the next year, and the cycle starts over. In my opinion, that's how some kids get left behind. But this is not a teaching podcast. This is a sports podcast. So, but if you look at it from like a specials teacher, like a PE teacher, art teacher, STEM teacher, those teachers, they do a better job with students because A, they see them every day. B, they have them every year. So they understand them. They understand how they learn. It's no different when we're talking about coaching. When you stay with a set coach or a set system and you develop in that system, you become better as an overall player because you've been in it for so long. You know what to expect. And I think if players value development over the bag, because face it, everybody's going to get paid in some form or fashion. But the money you making in college, it won't compare to the NFL. So development has to be the top thing. Because the NFL is really looking for, honestly, 3 traits. Are you coachable? Do you have a winning attitude? And have you been developed? And those things can get you to the league and keep you in the league. Another downside to the transfer portal, and I got this from Cam Newton. Is it situational or is it circumstance? Situational means you're not playing. You can't get in the rotation. You round the pine. I think most people would understand if you transferred, if that was the case. But if it's circumstance, which means you're not ready, you need to develop a little bit more. You need to work on and continue to perfect your craft. I think that's difficult for 18, 19, 20-year-old to look themselves in the mirror and ask, am I ready to play? I mean, there are people 30 and up who can't do that, refuse to do that. So that's a tough ask. And hopefully these kids have, quality people around them. But if you're not ready, if you need more development, lean into that. Block out the noise. Continue to get better. And again, that's hard. I get it. Especially when you want to show what you can do. But there have been several situations that have shown if you just wait and develop, it'll pay off. It will pay off. Now let's look at it from a college football grand scheme of things as far as the game itself. The pros, there's so much parity in college football. Like Vandy winning 9 and 10 games in back-to-back years, I thought I'd never see that. Vandy has always, frankly, sucked. I mean, they've always been bad. Indiana's a basketball school, but they've been in the playoffs the last 2 years. This kind of parity is a product of the transfer portal. A former Auburn player by the name of Anthony Schwartz stated that the portal, from a positive standpoint, allows those high-end G5 players. They get picked up by Power 4 schools, while those second wave of talent, those guys that are at Power 4 schools who don't really play a ton, they go to the G5 to show what they can do. So that parity, the chance of anybody truly making the playoffs and actually winning a national championship, that is exciting. I must admit, that's exciting. It makes college football more dramatic. It was already crazy, but it makes it that much more exciting. Again, just something that you just look forward to every single Saturday. That's a big, big benefit of the transfer portal. But here is the downside to it. I think, much like I mentioned with the players will have a lack of development. And I think that's going to hinder the game as far as the quality of it. These players are wanting and will be in the NFL at some point in time. The NFL product is elite. Like, it's top of the line. Mainly because guys have to stay in college for 3 years. They got to develop, they got to grow, they got to mature from a body standpoint. However, the NFL could take a bit of a dip like the NBA. And here's what I mean. The NBA product, like right now, people don't like. They complain about too much threes. It's so much one-on-one, no defense. They complain about the lack of skill that the players, possess. A lot of that is due to the fact that the NBA likes to draft players off of potential. They don't really go with the proven commodities. Like when they go those lottery picks, these are all potential guys, which means they got to be developed. I think something very similar could happen to the NFL over time. Because guys in college football right now, they're going to continue to jump. Because it's all about getting paid. All about getting paid. Everybody's on like a 1-year deal, 1-year deal, 1-year deal. And over time, I just think that lack of development, not having that at the forefront for the vast majority of players, so it appears at least, I think it's going to hinder the NFL game down the road. I could be completely wrong about this. It's simply a theory, but I can truly see it happening. And I don't want that to happen. I don't watch a lot of NBA basketball until like the playoffs because, look, frankly, I don't like all the threes. I don't like the lack of movement and lack of ball sharing. It's just it looks like a high-end pickup game to me. Like the talent's good. It looks like quality talent, but it's nothing more than pickup basketball. I don't want that to happen to the NFL. So players, have vision over sight. And what that means is, and this is another Cam Newton bomb. He was killing it on this thing. But what that means is, sight-wise, you see the money. It's right there. You ready to grab it. You got a bag. You can help friends and family. You can do your thing. And that's awesome. That's awesome. But if you've got the vision, meaning you can see the path beyond college and get to the ultimate thing you want, which is the NFL, you'll be able to provide for the people that you care about the most, including set up a life for yourself and your family much longer. To close out the show, there's an interesting transfer portal NIL situation going on at the University of Washington. Their quarterback, Desmond Williams, signed the contract 4 days ago. And that contract was worth about $4 million to return to Washington next year and be their starting quarterback. As of Tuesday, he entered the transfer portal. And that's a interesting situation because how do you sign a contract and then say, actually, I'm going to transfer? That's like going to a car dealership, signing all the paperwork, receiving the car, drive it off the lot, and try to bring it back within a few days. It doesn't work like that. This isn't Carvana. Once you buy it, it's bought. Okay, you are responsible for said car. Like that's it. That you're responsible for it. His contract is interesting though. Reading an article from Pete Thamel of ESPN, the article states that Washington is prepared to pursue all legal avenues to enforce Williams' contract. The Big Ten, which is the conference that Washington is in, has also been engaged on the issue and fully supports Washington in this matter. The conference states that agreed to obligations must be respected and honored and enforced. The contract that Williams signed, his deal includes a buyout that is at the sole discretion of the University of Washington, meaning they can choose to allow the buyout or not. The contract also states that the institution is not obligated to enter the student athlete into the transfer portal or otherwise assist or facilitate the student athlete's transfer to another college or university. And the whole college football world is watching because we all are wondering, do contracts matter with college athletes? And I'm really curious to see how this plays out because currently Washington does not have to enter his name into the transfer portal legally. They don't have to. But at the same time, they can't make him play. They could sue him. But then you have to ask yourself this question. Will they really take it that far? And all of this just speaks to what I mentioned at the very beginning of this episode. I have no problem with the transfer portal. I have no problem with NIL. I just believe it needs regulation, a system, a checks and balances. This has been the Third Down Conversation. I am D Turnipseed. Jesus loves you, and I'm out. Peace. To close out this show, there's an interesting transfer portal / NIL situation going on at the University of Washington. Their quarterback, Desmond Williams, signed a contract a few days ago. And then Tuesday, decides to enter the portal. Now, the contract he signed was worth about $4 million, which puts him at the higher end of guys making that kind of money. Washington officials have come out and said that they plan to pursue all legal avenues to enforce Williams' contract. The Big Ten, which is the conference that Washington is in, has also engaged on the issue and fully supports Washington. They came out and said that agreed to obligations should be respected, honored, and enforced. The contract that Washington signed includes a buyout to leave that is at the discretion of Washington. The contract that Washington signed the contract also states that the institution is not obligated to enter the student athlete's name into the transfer portal or otherwise assist or facilitate the student athlete transfer to another college or university.